Thank you for joining us on Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. We begin with politics. The President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongba-Memsem, has set up the Akita State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. The tribunal is to hear and determine petitions that may arise from the governorship election slated for Saturday, June 18, 2022. A statement by the Secretary of the Tribunal, Umar Abubakar, stated that Justice Dongba-Memsem says the action is pursuant to Section 285, Subsection 2 and Subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and Section 130 of the Election Act 2022. The tribunal is to make use of the Akita State High Court complex. Now, prospective voters have continued to throng various registration centers in Owerri, Imo State, the Imo State capital, to beat the deadline stipulated by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Faith Iguilo, who visited some of the centers, reports that the people are not relenting in their effort to get registered.
Hundreds of eligible intending voters thronging designated centers to get their permanent voters card. Most designated centers lack the capacity to contain the turnout of youths who do not mind spending the whole day in the quest to get hold of the PVC.
Process is good, just that I don't know, it's tiring, like they don't have enough computers.
Let them make it easy for the masses.
I was here 6 states, but up till now I have not registered.
It's not quite an hour that the INEC officials came here, while we were here since early in the morning.
Head of Department of Voter Education, INEC, Emanuela Ben Opara, described the scenario as the usual last-minute rush.
Some of them who have come to us are not actually fresh registrants. There are those who needed to have their information corrected, updated, or because they lost their cards. We have tried to tell them to do those things online, but unfortunately, they don't have faith in doing them online.
For some eligible voters, the heightened awareness to make their choice in the leadership of the country has further strengthened their resolve to face the difficulties associated with the surge in the registration process. In Owerri, Faith Iguilo, NTA News.
And activities are ongoing in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State in preparation for the June 18th governorship election. Our correspondent Kunle Adeyeye is there and is going to give us an update. Hello Kunle, can you hear me?
Hey, good evening, Lami. I can hear you clearly.
Now, tell us the situation of things there.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lami. Presently, we are the Ado-Ekiti local government of the Independent National Electoral Commission office. It's no longer a novelty that sensitive materials have been distributed since yesterday, but here they have to be moved to different polling units in the Ado-Ekiti metropolis for election usage. And now they are taking the materials to what they call rack center at some strategic points within Ado-Ekiti, the state capital. So some are going. Then another major thing happening here is that the prospective ad hoc staff they are using here, they are checking their names to know the exact polling points where they are going to carry out their duty. So some have checked their name, of course they are confirmed they are going to work there, but some are still prospective and they are still very eager to know where they will be working. Well, I have one of them with me. He is a core member, Timileyin. Timileyin, good evening, and you are welcome to NTA News.
Yep, yes, welcome.
Okay, now, I guess you have seen your name on the list and you know where your where your primary assignment is. Can you probably tell us where you are conducting, where you will be working tomorrow?
Yeah, I've seen my name and I'm going to Ward 13 as a PO.
Okay, let me now put the question to you this way. How are you ready to serve your fatherland through these national assignments?
I'm ready not to compromise, and I'm ready for carrying my duty as a PO.
Well, in the course of probably applying for this job, you must have been trained. What are the basic trainings you were put through?
The basic training is how we carry out the election here in my unit, and as a PO, they said the way I will carry my listing there.
Okay, thank you very much. Besides that, any other thing do you have to share with us?
Nothing much I can share than this.
Okay, thank you very much, Timileyin. So, Lami, well, one of the ad hoc staff employed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, Timileyin Oyedeji, I just spoke with him. So, that's what's happening now.
All right, now from your observation, what is the mood of voters as they prepare to cast their ballots come Saturday?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lami. Since morning, when Charles Alpha went to Ijigbo roundabout, and at 10 a.m. too, I was at the headquarters of INEC office in the morning. One noticeable thing we have seen in the metropolis is the active movement of the people. You know, Ekiti State is purely a civil service state, and today being Friday, tomorrow is election day. Many people are eager to go to their towns, their villages, even the hamlets, to go and cast their ballots. So there've been movement within and outside the town. But one thing we have noticed is the movement outside the town is more active than that of those moving into the town. Then, besides that too, of course, the security operatives, the security agencies, they've been moving around the metropolis. I wouldn't call it a show of force, but a show of competence to let people know that, okay, we are here for you, we are here to protect you, and don't panic by tomorrow, don't be violent, just go to your different polling units, exercise your civic rights, and you are rest assured of total safety. We've noticed that too.
Thank you very much, Kunle. We shall get back to you later for more updates on the situation at Ekiti.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lami. We will be very eager to give you adequate response by then.
Thank you. Now, moving on, Nigerian youths have been told to see themselves as the greatest resources for revitalizing democracy, human rights and governance, not only in the future, but more importantly today around the world. This call to Nigerian youths came up at a democracy lecture with the theme, Election and Governance, Youths as Watchmen Against Electoral Violence. Haman Jabani has the reports.
Youth Congress is offering young leaders a platform to discuss opportunities and strategies for the mobilization so that they can create a shared vision to help advance youth participation in civic and political processes peacefully.
There is an understanding of the potential advantages of harnessing the youth bulge, a factor that both the UAE and Nigeria share.
Nothing stops young Nigerians to be offering 30% affirmative actions. If we say we have 70% of the entire population, it really shows that if we are coordinated very well and we sensitize ourselves, we can even put the next president in power.
What we want is to make sure we have a stable nation. Nigeria is our priority. Nigeria is our project. No matter what they do to frustrate the youth of this country, to make sure we get involved or answerable to their big pockets at this point is not going to work.
As much as you focus on election and good governance,
stakeholders suggest support for youth-led innovation, helping young leaders connect, identify barriers to political participation, co-develop tools, and test results to build democracies that are more inclusive.
Congress is asking us.
Haman Jabani, NTA News.
Nigeria and United States of America should collaborate more to effectively tackle the spread of terrorism, especially in the Sahel region. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo stated this when he received the visiting Undersecretary for Political Affairs, U.S. State Department Victoria Nuland, highlighting the need for a more comprehensive approach to tackling terrorism in the region and Sahel. The Vice President noted that the spread of terrorist organizations such as ISWAP and Boko Haram Haram should be tackled firmly and permanently. The Vice President described the cooperation between the two countries as extremely fruitful and rewarding and commends the U.S. government for providing support to Nigeria in its fight against Boko Haram and terrorism. The Vice President also noted President Muhammadu Buhari's administration's commitments to tackling the country's security challenges and ensuring free, fair and peaceful elections. Lalo Akonde, Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Media and Publicity, in a press release stated that the significance of free, fair and peaceful elections, improving security in the Sahel region and the adoption of gas as a transition fuel in developing countries, among other issues of mutual interest, were discussed at the meeting. The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has staged a roadwalk within the city centre of the FCT to create more awareness on the plight of displaced persons. Kenneth Nanim reports that the roadshow is part of activities lined up for the 2022 World Refugee Week.
World Refugee Day is celebrated every 20th of June to raise awareness on the unique health needs of refugees and other people on the move. This roadwalk is a demonstration of solidarity, passion, and the collective efforts needed to improve the livelihood of refugees in Nigeria. But at the Unity Fountain, it was a freestyle. Ernest Cho is a refugee from Cameroon. He appreciates the Nigerian government for its support towards his kind and solicits that refugees be mainstreamed in the federal government's social safety net.
We live within the community, even as much as we live on our own. We still beg the Commission to see into it that we have something as far as accommodation and other amenities are concerned. But the community where we live, honestly speaking, we feel at home.
We've started enrollment on the NHIS program. It's a piloting phase, and we're about to start the second phase. We're looking forward to more cooperation, especially from the security agencies, knowing that we have obligations towards these refugees.
As efforts are on top gear to provide the needed infrastructure for refugees, attention is on inter-organizational synergy and support needed to deliver on the mandate. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
In commemorating World Desertification and Drought Day 2022, governments around the world are encouraged to develop land planning processes and provide funds for climate-smart agriculture to limit degradation and build resilience against droughts. Onangie Fineface reports.
United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, UNCCD's report indicates that droughts are up to 29% since the year 2000, with 55 million people affected every year.
3/4 of humanity will be living in drought-prone areas by 2050. Drought is not just the absence of rain. It is also, and often more, a result of human actions, or rather inaction, to take care of our land and our climate.
Together, we can restore the productivity of over 2 billion hectares of degraded land and improve the livelihoods of more than 1.3 billion people around the world.
In commemorating Desertification and Drought Day 2022, the United Nations is drawing attention to solutions including early warning systems, drought preparedness, protecting livelihoods and restoring degraded land.
In Africa, the Great Green Wall of the Sahel has already restored millions of hectares of land and created thousands of jobs from Dakar to Djibouti. Taking care of our land and its biodiversity can help address the climate crisis and assist in reaching all our sustainable development goals.
Desertification and Drought Day is celebrated to raise public awareness, promote solutions and strengthen implementation of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, especially in Africa. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
As Nigeria joins the global community to mark the 2022 World Museum Day, the importance of establishing a national museum in Abuja has again been highlighted. Oyinaya Kalwaka reports.
The International Museum Day was also a day to celebrate the International Day for Monuments and Sites. With about 55 museums and sites in Nigeria, the day provided the opportunity for local communities and individuals to consider the importance of cultural heritage to their lives, identities, communities, and to promote awareness on its diversity. With the theme, The Power of Museums, Heritage and Climate, the threat of destruction of Nigeria's cultural heritage due to neglect and changing social and economic conditions was highlighted.
It is important for all of us that we must have to remember this day and then preserve our tradition, norms and value.
The two countries, which begins to create cohesion between the people of South Africa and Nigeria, and also to create people-to-people movement between the two countries. This is an agreement on arts and culture.
The Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Professor Abba Issa Tijani, said, with the new phase of museums in the country, as seen in the transformation of galleries, the Commission is prepared to use the museum as a powerful tool in achieving change. He spoke on the importance of establishing a national museum in the federal capital, Abuja.
Everywhere in the world, you see that anywhere you go, you see museums in the city, in the headquarters. Nigeria, we don't have a national museum in Abuja, and we are looking forward to having one very soon.
The International Museum Day by the United Nations has been celebrated since 1977 to raise awareness on the importance of museum. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA News.
Now, women's involvement in finding lasting solutions to myriads of Nigeria's development challenges, particularly the problem of insecurity, has been advocated by the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists in Abuja. This was emphasized during the closing ceremony of the more than a month-long female students inter-school debate competition across Jigawa State, attended by the NAWOJ President Ladi Bala. Mohammed Askira reports.
An act of inviting money, skills and
That was a debate at the final stage. No doubt, female students' debate competition has, at the end of it, brought to the limelight some silent cultural issues affecting womanhood and their ability to add strength to the efforts of the government in addressing some challenges critical to the nation's development. Prominent among these issues is the girl child education.
About 297 million has been spent only for the purpose of trying to pay back, reimburse parents whose children girl childs are in unity schools across the country.
Education is the answer to the numerous problems that we're facing today in Nigeria, and particularly the issue of insecurity. And so this is why education is important for the girl child.
It is indeed a phenomenal secondary school female students debate competition put together by the Nigeria Association of Female Journalists NAWOJ, first of its kind in Jigawa State, underscoring the importance of education and calling on the attention of the authority to invest heavily in girl child education. From Dutse, Muhammad Askira, NTA News.
Still on education, the prolonged industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities has been identified as part of the challenges that must be addressed to avoid delays in the academic calendar in Nigeria. In commemoration of the International Day of the African Child, parents and children appealed to the warring parties to come to terms for the sake of the Nigerian child. Ngozi Technical reports.
Among the issues bordering on the future of children in Nigeria is fear of uncertainty on such matters as education and security.
The government should resolve the ASU strikes, because you told my sisters one has written jam, so because of the ASU strike she has not yet entered.
Like, I'm writing WAEC next year, and if this ones that have written is not being admitted to the university earlier, it's going to affect us.
On the 16th of June every year afford stakeholders in the African continent opportunity to take stock and appraise these issues and other issues militating against African children.
30 million of world 57 million children who are out of school are in sub-Saharan Africa. More than 10 million of these children are Nigerians.
Being the umbrella body of women in Nigeria, the National Council for Women's Society says the continuous strike is exposing the youths to social vices. Ngozi Technical, NTA News.
And Lagos is where we go next on Nationwide with Adiola as our guide. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Lami. Good to see you. Nigeria's 1999 constitution, as amended, already poses checks and balances that are available to effect whatever changes considered necessary for the purpose of amendment to the state of affairs with a view to having a functional Nigerian state. Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami reiterated this fact while responding to issues raised as regards restructuring at a meeting of Body of Attorney in Lagos. Abolade Salami reports.
The call for restructuring and amendments to the nation's grand norm has been at the front burner of several national discourse. In an attempt to lay the issue to rest, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, in response to reactions, said the country's constitution is civil in operations as it accommodates room for amendments through legislations.
The problems we are facing are not purely problems of restructuring, problems of imbibing the spirit of public interest, the interest of justice, and need to promote the indivisibility of our nation, the Nigerian state.
The Minister of Justice advised Attorney Generals of States to ignore the idea of establishing a body known as the Body of Attorneys General of the Federation. These, he says, run contrary to Section 150, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Ondo State Governor Oloruntomi Akeredolu and his Lagos State counterpart Babajide Sanwo-Olu says significant alteration to the 1999 Constitution as amended is needed so as to accommodate more flexible laws that will promote national development.
As lawyers and as educated citizens, to insist that we have a new constitution is important for us.
You know too well that in the constitution, it's only Attorney General that the constitution says you should appoint. Once you have your Attorney General with you, you don't even need commissioners or special advisors again. So that goes to explain, how important and how critical your roles are for us.
Other issues deliberated by the State Attorneys General are the proposed amendments to the Stamp Duties Act, pensions and gratuity for judges, and amendments to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And from the judiciary, we'll talk infrastructure. Arrangements have been concluded to pull down the remaining buildings at the site of a 21-story building that collapsed in November 2021 in Ikoyi under Etiosa local government area of the state. Musa Toliat reports that Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Motosho, disclosed this at a media forum in Lagos.
It's been 7 months since Lagos residents were jolted by the sudden collapse of a 21-story block of luxury flats under construction in Gerrard Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. The enormity of the incident prompted Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to set up an investigative panel to determine the immediate and remote causes of the collapsed building. Governor Sanwo-Olu then directed that an integrity test be carried out on other buildings in the compound where the incident happened. Arrangements have now been concluded by Lagos State government to pull down the defective structures. This, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Motosho, disclosed, will be done using global best practices.
There is going to be a presentation that the Commissioner will be telling us why how they want to do the job, assuring us that us and the well at the end of the day, we went to full detail because one of the things that comes up from even in the city of governments, one of the things that comes up from all this is your safety and safety.
A new term known as deconstruction method will be employed.
We will strip the building piece by piece. That's not more than the size of the chip, so that we can carefully jump. uncertainty is not by the grace of God. As we begin to take out the slabs, the building becomes light. And then gradually we will take it to the lower floors and we'll be able to clear the site entirely.
The operation to pull the defective buildings apart will commence in a week's time, and it is expected to last for 90 days. In Lagos, Musa Tolead, NTA News.
And from Lagos, we shall be handing over the baton to Comfort in Enugu. And that will be after the break. But do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/alllive and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. To stay.
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer-long second Niger bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
Weekend File, your Saturday delight, going to places from the obscure to the hinterland and cities, bringing you development stories and perspectives, connecting the people with government and stakeholders on critical issues of our national life.
We are live in Abuja.
It's 9 p.m. every Saturday on the network service of the NTA. Weekend File, you can't afford to miss it.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Good evening and welcome to Enugu Network Center. Enugu State Government has promised to restore every duly acquired land that has been illegally revoked and taken from the rightful owners. Governor Ugwuani gave this assurance when a delegation of health workers visited him with a complaint of alleged revocation of 230 plots of land acquired by the group at Ozala Abo community in the state. Susan Izzy has the details.
According to the provisions of the Land Use Act, revocation of ownership to any land in the state must be with the approval of the state governor. Reacting to the alleged revocation of the land belonging to the state health workers registered as Villa Estate in Ozalabo by the immediate past Commissioner for Lands and Urban Development, Governor Ugwuani maintained he was not privy to the revocation, contrary to the provisions of the law. Citing a similar case involving the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, whose land, illegally revoked, has since been returned to them, Governor Ugwuani directed the current Commissioner for Lands, Nnayelugo Chidi Aro, to take necessary actions to do same with the health workers.
We express your excellency that the Ministry of Land and Urban Development will comply strictly to your instructions on this and will do it in speed and in the best interest of the people of Enugu.
The jubilant health workers, led by the chairman of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Bennett Asogwa, told the governor that they acquired the 230 plots of land in 2015 from the Ozalabo community. Governor Ugwanye enjoined others in the state who may have suffered similar fate of illegal revocation of their lands to come forward, as the administration is committed to ensuring that justice is served in this regard. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
A Nigeria Association of Women Journalists, NAWO, Enugu State Chapter, ahead of the 2023 general elections, has called for women inclusion as a condition to gain their support. Mina Adobe Ukobasi, who was at the conference, reports that speakers also requested implementation of the approved 35% women affirmation action.
The decision to support gubernatorial candidates with female deputies was born out of the need to ensure gender-sensitive representation and change the narrative of women being relegated to the background.
There is, however, the need for a gender-sensitive representation in the entire political equation and balancing.
Chairperson, Federation of International Women Lawyers, FIDA, Enugu State Chapter, charged women to gear up and take their pride of place in the scheme of things by ensuring they support women massively in the upcoming polls.
There are very few women in our governance positions, but we need more inclusion.
Other speakers at the conference, including Onyeka Uwebulam and Vice Chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Enugu State Council, called for the reinforcement of the 35% affirmative action and advised that power is not gotten on a platter, hence the need for women to garner force since they have the advantage of number.
We just had a court judgment in our favor on the 35% affirmative action. And then in Enugu State, they've done local government election. No single woman.
You should come out for yourself. You should also know that what you're supposed to do is to study the ground and know where you fit in.
In Enugu, Mina Adobe Kobasi, NTA News.
And as our contribution from this end is back to Abuja with Lami for more reports on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Comfort. The National Directorate of Employment's NDE is consolidating on its mandates to provide job opportunities for Nigerians. This is to forestall the relapse of beneficiaries into the labor market. Director General NDE Abubakar Fikbo stated this as the inspection of some NDE trainee workshops and skill acquisition centers in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Yemisi Ajagun monitored the exercise and brought back this report.
Olowe is one of the beneficiaries of the National Directorate of Employment Skill Acquisition Program in Oyo State, who has in turn trained over 100 people for skill acquisition.
I think it's clear now that everyone has seen so much benefit in vocational skills, in acquiring skills.
The program, which is one of the efforts of the federal government to mitigate unemployment in the society, is no doubt achieving its purpose.
I've trained more than 20, and presently I have about 12 trainees with me.
I was once a training under the NDE. By His grace, when I finished my tenure, they said to me a bit.
The Director General of the NDE, who represented, encouraged unemployed youth to key into the program.
I believe that good funding will help us to do much more in the area of employment generation, wealth creation, and poverty reduction in the country.
Since the establishment of the scheme in November 1986, NDE has lifted hundreds of thousands out of poverty across the nation. In Ibadan, Yemisi Ajagun, NTA News.
And the National Orientation Agency has taken its campaign on open government partnership and the application of the Freedom of Information Act to the grassroots with a view to ensuring community participation in programs and policies of governments. Kenneth Nanim reports.
In advanced democracies, the people have the fundamental right to demand how they are governed. But that is not the case here in Nigeria, because most of the citizens are yet to maximize the advantage.
Some are getting to know that they have the right to ask questions, to ask about their budget. So this is just to sensitize the people, to raise the bar of awareness on their rights as citizens of Nigeria.
The Open Government Partnership, which is an international multi-stakeholders initiative, focuses on improving transparency, accountability, citizen participation, and responsiveness to citizens.
This short drama is the technique which the agency is using to send the message. The citizens, especially at the community level, are also encouraged to leverage the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act of 2011 to demand relevant information concerning government projects in their areas for adequate monitoring.
And next line of action is to begin to find out information about what government is doing at the grassroots, especially in my local government area.
To achieve all of these, National Orientation Agency emphasized constant citizens' engagement with the government in line with Global Open Government Partnership Initiative, of which Nigeria subscribes to. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, the Supreme Court has approved the use of hijab by female Muslim students in government-owned schools in Lagos State. The 7-man panel of justices led by Justice Olukayode Ariwola dismissed the appeal by the Lagos State government and upheld the earlier judgments of the Court of Appeal, which held that the ban on hijab was discriminatory against Muslim students in the state. The court upheld that the ban violated the Muslim students' rights to freedom of thought, conscience, religion, the dignity of human persons, and freedom from discrimination guaranteed by the Constitution. The Lagos State government had banned the use of hijab, arguing that it was not part of the approved school uniform for pupils. Following the ban, the students filed a suit on May 27, 2015, seeking redress and asked the court to declare the ban as a violation of their rights to freedom of thought, religion, and education. Let's now head to Sokoto, where Sadia is standing by. All right, we are moving. Sadia, Sokoto appears not to be ready, so we're heading to Port Harcourt, where the Barbary will be our guide on Nationwide. It's over to you.
And welcome to Port Harcourt. There is an increasing surge among youths to register in the ongoing voter registration exercise in order to participate actively in deciding the next set of Nigerian leadership in the 2023 general elections. Kingsley Amaji reports.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, though has closed the online registration exercise for new prospective voters, the Commission is still registering this set of voters at their various centers. The process is becoming very cumbersome with the increasing population of younger Nigerians who desire to get their permanent voter cards (PVC).
Since my life, I've sworn not to get the PVC. I've sworn not to vote. But this time around, I'm so convinced in my spirit to vote. I believe like my vote counts, so we have to do something to push it to the next level. Whatever we are doing now, we decide how to. I came here with determination because to see that I am able to get my voter's card today. So I have just defied the difficulties here.
Actually, I came to get my voter's card, and actually this is my first time registering for the election.
INEC spokesperson in Rivers State, Mark Osolo, said many of those crowding the centers can easily update their biodata request for replacement of lost or damaged PVCs without visiting INEC offices.
The online portal cvr.inecnigeria.org is still ongoing, but for fresh registrants, it is not. The portal has closed for them to go ahead to register fresh registrations. But if it is for transfer, some change of names, change of date of birth, you can do that online.
Concerned residents want the authorities to extend the period in order not to disenfranchise prospective voters willing to participate in the process. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The federal government is to complete the dualization of the Calabar Itu Federal Highway by 2023. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola, represented by the Director Construction and Rehabilitation, said this during an inspection of the road project. Paul Abel was there and now reports.
The Calabar Itu Federal Highway links South-South and South-East states, as well as plays a major economic role in Nigeria, but has been characterized by its perennial bad condition, which the federal government intervened by awarding its reconstruction and dualization. The over 87 kilometers, 5 bridges with several culverts road, divided into 2 phases, the Cross River and Akwa Ibom axis, handled by 1 indigenous and 2 non-indigenous contractors, is expected to ease transportation when completed. Therefore, the team by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing is embarking on this inspection to ensure contractors meet quality specifications and complete the project within record time.
From what I can see now, there is no challenge of funding. The contract will continue to enjoy smooth funding. I'm satisfied, but I want them to do more.
The contractor has the will to work, because when you look at this project, they came and started working on site even before they were paid.
We are very grateful to the President for delivering us from this mess. After 36 good years,
we are praying that the effort that has been started should be effectively completed.
The team by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing has promised to be back here soonest to ensure that the work is completed within stipulated time. From Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
We are done from Port Harcourt. The news will continue with Lami in Abuja right after the break. Good evening.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Agwe.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years, if she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just pack to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is there, Paris?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA Television College, JOS, invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills, date 13th July to 5th August 2022, 4 weeks. Sports Coverage and Reporting Skills in the Mass Media, date 13th July to 22nd July 2022, 2 weeks. Basic Camera Operation Techniques, date 1st August to 26th August 2022, 4 weeks. Advanced Broadcast Accounting and Auditing, date 15th August to 9th September 2022, 4 weeks. Transmitter Operations and Maintenance, date 22nd August to 26th August 2022, 1 week. Workforce Intelligence, Key to Organizational Effectiveness and Efficiency, date 5th September to 16th September 2022, 2 weeks. The course fee for 1 week courses is 100,000 Naira per participant. The fee for 2 weeks courses is 150,000 naira, while the course fee for 4 weeks courses is 180,000 naira only, accommodation inclusive. The venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA Television College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-9809-807. NTA TV College Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
It's life. Once you lose hope, you lose life. Once people get lifted to a certain level, they start feeling godlike. What would you attribute this backwardness in education to in the North to date?
What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong.
The program is reflections.
Thank you for staying with Nationwide. We now join Sadia in our Sokoto Network Center. It's over to you, Sadia.
Thank you, Lani. Thanks for joining us. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has inaugurated the 2002 Hajj delegation in the state with a charge on them to respect Saudi authorities' law. Lato Abdullahi has the report.
The 17-member Hajj delegation has Speaker Sokoto State House of Assembly Aminu Muhammad Achida as chairman, and the permanent secretary Farouk Shehu is to serve as the secretary. The delegation is saddled with the responsibility of leading and guiding the intending pilgrims to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for this year's Hajj operations.
I implore all our pilgrims to continue to pray for our country, to pray for our state, for the return of peace and continued progress and unity and cohesion of our state and our country.
In another development, Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has administered oath of office on the 5-member Sokoto State Civil Service Commission. They include Haliru Muhammad Tambuwal as chairman, while the permanent commissioners include Abbas Gandhi, Shehu Bawa Gwaranyo, Ahmad Abdullahi Soho Shuni, and Abdurazak Shehu.
I appeal and rather charge the Civil Service Commission to ensure the enforcement of all relevant rules in relation to the promotion and elevation of civil servants.
Governor Tambuwal has also sworn in Tahiru Hosseini as permanent member of the Sokoto State House of Assembly Service Commission. In Sokoto, Lato Abdullahi, NTA News.
As part of efforts to ensure the successful conduct of this year's Hajj exercise, an intensive sensitization was organized for more than 1,300 pilgrims from Zamfara State. The event is a prelude to the airlift of the pilgrims to the Holy Land scheduled for over the weekend. Jamil Ibrahim has more.
The sensitization lectures organized by the Muslim Foundation in collaboration with Zamfara State Hajj Commission were meant to educate this year's intending pilgrims from the state on the rudiments of the Hajj exercise before they embark on the spiritual journey. It also covers the relevant Saudi policies as well as the rules and regulations that govern the entire operations to enable them perform a hitch-free and acceptable Hajj. Practical aspect of the major Hajj rites received utmost attention at the sensitization program. The chairman of Zamfara State Zakat and Endowment Board, Sheikh Abubakar Sudangi, and Ustad Jamilu Ahmad, who presented various papers at the event, stressed the need for the intending pilgrims to sincerely repent from sins and to hold firmly onto the teaching of the glorious Quran, an authentic prophetic tradition in the observance of the Hajj rites. Zamfara State Deputy Governor Senator Hassan Muhammad says the state government is committed to ensuring the welfare of the intending pilgrims, both at home and in the Holy Land. He charged them to make the best use of the knowledge they acquired at the training. Executive Chairman Zamfara State Hajj Commission Lawal Abdullahi particularly enjoined the intending pilgrims to ensure they fully receive the COVID-19, polio and yellow fever vaccinations before they leave for the Holy Land.
Preparations are on top gear. You have seen even the buses that are supposed to convey them. They have started arriving right from today. Hopefully we'll have flights on Saturday and Sunday.
The sensitization holds simultaneously in all the 30 senatorial districts of Zamfara State, as the state is allocated 1,330 Hajj seats this year. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
That's it from this end. It's now back to Lami in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Sadia. Strengthening the capacity of religious leaders to build their potential in the fight against HIV was the focal point of a training in Abuja. Elizabeth Omori reports that the complexity of the concept of faith healing was also addressed.
AIDS. Global statistics on AIDS reveal that 37.7 million people globally were living with HIV in 2020. This epidemic has continued to be a major public health concern. As Sustainable Development Goal 3 aims to end AIDS before 2030, the global community is not relenting, and one of such efforts is this consultative meeting on treatment adherence by key actors in the fight against HIV/AIDS.
Faith leaders must rise to the challenges confronting the church today, especially with respect to reproductive health and HIV.
Very important to strengthen that role, to enhance that they help the country as much as possible to achieve epidemic control, ensure that many people are enrolled for treatment, and that we address the issues of stigma and discrimination. So PEPFAR and UNS come together to come up with this idea, which was brought into by our religious leaders globally.
Issues bordering on testing, high-risk behaviors, discrimination, and the concept of faith-based healing were also raised.
As much as we believe that God can do all things, it is also important that we adhere to treatment, which is the miracle that God has given us at a time like this.
With the ARVs, we have our healing. So we should not emphasize on exclusive claims of faith healing in the HIV response.
We recommend communal engagement, sensitization at all religious platforms on the epidemic and behavioral change in lifestyle. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The sports update is next.
The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has released the list of referees that will take charge of matches during the 14th 2022 African Women Cup of Nations coming up in Morocco in July. The list has Patience Madu and Millicent Yohe, both Nigerian, among 40 referees. These Nigerian referees will be amongst 16 center referees, 16 assistant referees, and 8 video referee assistants. Meanwhile, as the Super Falcons prepares for the 2022 African Women Cup of Nations in Rabat, Morocco, World Football Governing Body FIFA has released its ranking for women's national teams, where the Nigerian soccer ladies are now ranked 39th on the table and remain first in Africa. The Super Falcons will, however, look forward to the forthcoming Cup of Nations in Morocco to improve on their ranking in the next 3 months. Basketball enthusiasts have increased the call for more competitions to help inspire the next generation of basketballers to stardom. This call came at the Elite 8 Mark the Ball basketball tournament in Abuja, where Canopilas bounced back from their loss against Gombe Bulls on day 2 to defeat Kwara Falcons 77-61 points.
The competition, the way it's going, you can't predict who is going to win, because we've been seeing a lot of upsets, from this, especially this young team. They are very aggressive.
We need continuously to have this type of high-grade basketball competition so that those at home will be able to play well and get opportunity to go abroad, and we have a formidable team.
The tournament is set for more surprises in the next 2 days. With Sport Update, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari conveys heartfelt sympathies to the royal palace of the Obi of Oba Kingdom in Delta State on the passing of her most treasured daughter, Princess Margaret Obagbena Ni-Osifo, at the age of 88. Commiserating with members of the family and Prince Nduka Obagbena, chairman of the Disney and the Rice Group of Companies, President Buhari describes the late Princess Margaret as a pillar of strength for the family, an accomplished mother and revered community leader whose absence will be felt far beyond her immediate environments, noting that the demise of Princess will create a great vacuum in the community. The President urges the family to take solace in the understanding that she lived her life with passion by caring for the distressed and disadvantaged. President Buhari also condoles with the government and people of Edo and Delta states and the loss of the illustrious citizen who contributed immensely to the development of the two states. The president prays that God Almighty grants her soul eternal rest. And that does it on Nationwide. We thank you for watching. Remember to always join NTA in its campaign against rape and rapists. All is now set for the Akita State Governorship elections, and our studios will be open for that.
All is now set for the Ekiti State Governorship election, scheduled for tomorrow, that is Saturday. The election, which is one of the off-cycle polls, is coming 7 months after the Anambra State Governorship election, which took place in November 2021. Key players believe that the Ekiti State Governorship election is going to be historic, being the first governorship poll to be conducted based on the provisions of the new Electoral Act 2022. The election, according to the INEC guidelines, is to commence by 8:30 in the morning, with accreditation and voting going on simultaneously, and is expected to end by 2:30 in the afternoon. 16 political parties are fielding candidates in the election, out of which 2 of them are females. So, how is the election going to look like this time around? Would there be vote buying, as witnessed in other polls? Would the voters' turnout be impressive, considering the nature of Ekiti's slogan, which is Fountain of Knowledge? What is likely going to influence the voting pattern in tomorrow's polls? These are some of the issues we intend to discuss as we commence our special broadcast on the Ekiti State Governorship election on the network service of the NTA. I am Mie Ogedi, thanking you for joining us. And in the next 2 hours, we shall be giving you situation reports on the coming poll, and we shall also link up with our Ekiti Decide studio in Ado Ekiti to have updates on the happenings ahead of the D-Day. Thanks for joining us. The race to elect a new occupant of the Ekiti State Government House is almost at its peak, as the political gladiators are relying on voting power of the electorate to determine their fate. Olubukola Ado, in this report, examines the political consciousness of Ekiti people and efforts by critical stakeholders to increase voters' participation in the June 18 governorship election in the state.
Before
Reports show that participation in election is more than just turnout of voters, but the level of preparedness and public opinion on the election. History shows that the people are known for the significant roles they play in the political development of the state and the nation.
The people have always been active in practically all previous elections. Colonial days, post-colonial days, post-statehood, at all levels.
Very politically conscious people, but we are not politically active. We wait for 4 years, we vote, and we go back to our houses. We are satisfied. We don't make demands from the political process.
As the people of Akita State prepare to go to the polls to choose the man or woman of their choice to occupy the #1 seat in the state in the June 18 governorship election, how much work has been done in the area of effective voter education to increase political participation and avoid or minimize infractions in the electoral process?
We have since embarked on sensitization across the local government areas. Like we have officers in all the 16 local government areas, and we have since embarked on voter education. People should shun every form of apathy and to know that it's needful for them. It's mandatory. It's their civic right and responsibility to exercise their franchise.
Voter apathy, however, remains the major challenge the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and other critical stakeholders are trying to surmount as they employed various strategies, especially the tool of voter and civic education for the promotion of the democratic process. Statistics obtained from INEC show that out of 909,585 voters registered in the state in 2018, only 44.36% turned out to vote during the last governorship election in the state.
We are increasing people's confidence in the electoral process. We have also created additional polling units and taking some of these polling units closer to the people. We have a polling unit closer to them. The elderly, we have polling units closer to them. And then people will not be running from pillar to post on election day, trying to locate a polling unit where they can vote. So let all people know that their sovereign right and their sovereign power resides in the ballot, and that they should exercise it and exercise it maximally. And that is why we are going to make sure that on election day we are going to have top-notch security and give the people confidence that they can come out to vote and nothing untoward will happen to them.
It is expected that if all the efforts put in the Akita governorship poll, especially in the area of voter education and participation, yield desired results, the 2023 general elections will be credible and acceptable to all. In Ado Ekiti, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Thank you very much. But let's also take a look at some of the do's and don'ts, because the candidates are already set for the ballot. But what the electorate should do and the ones they should not do. Let's take a listen.
The governor of Ekiti State over. People of the state go to the polls to elect a new governor that will pilot the affairs of the state for the next 4 years. 16 political parties registered by INEC for the election have read out different programs they would embark on if elected to rule the electorate to vote for their party. With over 10,000 electoral officers to be deployed for Ekiti governorship election, INEC is ready for the election, but worried about voter apathy and vote buying.
Politicians and the citizens of Ekiti State should continue to maintain the level of peace that exists in the state as of today. It is important for citizens to go to the polling units on election day with the full realization that they can vote and vote without any harm befalling them.
it is also important for us to have a very good atmosphere that will make it impossible for elements that are not attuned with the electoral process to cause problem on election day. So the people of Ekiti State should be assured that this particular commission is committed and has the courage to conduct free, fair, credible and inclusive election. So their responsibility is to come out en masse on election day and exercise their democratic franchise.
Some residents of Ado-Ekiti appeal to politicians to desist from making inflammatory comments that can cause political violence during this period.
So my appeal to the politicians is that they should allow one man, one vote. Because as far as we are concerned in Ekiti State is a fountain of knowledge. We have many professors and many educated people in Ekiti State. So they should try and enlighten our people how to cast their vote and go back to their houses.
I want them to know that they are there to serve the people. As a result of this, they should be honest with their promises to the people. Whatever they feel that they want to do to the people, let them be honest. So if they do that, they will have the fear of Almighty God to guide them aright. If they are able to do that, I think most of the problem we have will be solved.
My appeal to them will be that they should have the love of masses at heart, not only going there because of their selfish interest.
As preparations item, all eyes are on INEC to conduct a free, fair and credible Ekiti governorship election. In Ekiti, Temitope Odebumi, NTA News.
The people are there challenging INEC to do the needful, and INEC is also telling them to do their best. But in this next report, let's take a look at how prepared are the people now that even the security agencies, INEC says they are well prepared. Let's also hear from the people on their preparedness for tomorrow's elections.
The much-awaited June 18 governorship election in Ekiti State is few hours away, as the electoral umpire INEC is putting finishing touches to ensure a credible and acceptable electoral process. The 16 participating political parties are strategizing and optimistic of victory in the 2,445 polling units in the state. The question now is, how prepared are the eligible voters for this exercise?
Since I got my PVC ready and I'm ready for the June 18 election of Ekiti State to cast the votes to my choice of candidates, and I'm ready to cast the vote for the person that can still be the betterment of Ekiti as a whole, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not ready to sell my votes.
I'm ready to vote. I have my card. My voter card is with me here, so I'm ready to vote. All my family, all the entire member people of the state, we are ready to vote this time.
Election, I'm ready to vote. I'm advising people to come and vote. Vote for your right choice, not fighting. We're not right fighting, and go there, just vote and go to your house.
I'm ready to vote the candidates of my choice. I've got my voter's card. I'm ready for the election.
I'm ready for the election. Come June 18, I'm prepared. At least I've gotten the necessary document. I think that's the voter's card. And
for the election, we are ready for discussions. So joining me in the studio to give further perspective to what INEC has done and what the people also prepared to do tomorrow in terms of voting is Dr. Adoyi Matthew Omole, political scientist and international relations expert. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
I hope you got it right, Omale.
Yes, Omale.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So let's hear from you. You have seen some reports. Yeah. There is the spirit is high. The state is also sensitive because the sensitive materials have been distributed. What is your take as we count down to Ekiti decides tomorrow?
Yeah, Ekiti is very, very crucial to our march towards 2023 election. In fact, it's like a test
run in the countdown to 2023 elections. And it's not just Ekiti people that are interested. The rest of Nigeria is watching. Are we going to have a credible election in 2023? That is the question on the lips of everybody. And everybody is watching how INEC is going to handle this election. If the election is free and fair, Nigerians will look up to 2023 with optimism. If the usual floppy and shoddy manner in which we handle our elections still rear its head in Ekiti, it will also give Nigerians room to still doubt whether we'll be able to have a credible election in 2023. So this election, this Ekiti election, is very, very crucial to voters, to Nigerians having confidence as we march towards the 2023 elections. INEC, from reports, have distributed sensitive materials. We hope that the usual lateness, the material arriving at the various points, do not rear its head tomorrow, because before you know it, by 12 o'clock, we'll be seeing reports that some polling booths materials have not arrived. But I am aware that these materials, from what the INEC are saying, has been distributed since Thursday, and that all the political parties were there when the materials were distributed. Another thing that we'll watch carefully in this election is the BVAS, the Biometric Voters Accreditation System. Whether we will still have the same issues with what we had with the card reader, the previous card reader. We are waiting to see the effectiveness of the BVAS, and everybody is watching and seeing how it's going to be.
But we don't see much campaigns on the media. You know, sometimes when electioneering periods, before the 24 hours deadline, you see campaigns on the media so much, and that gives us that sense of maybe they are also creating awareness. But this case in Ekiti is different. Do you think that will affect the turnout tomorrow? Well,
the Ekiti is a relatively very small state. It's a relatively very small state compared to other states in the southwest. I'm aware that the registered voters are not up to 1 million people. I think about 990 or thereabout, or 900 and something. And those that have collected their PVC as at 14th of June, about 70, just roughly 75% of that number. So we are not expecting very, very huge votes in millions. We are talking about a state that has just 16 local government areas.
Yes.
So maybe that is why the excitement. And of course, Ekiti has not been in the news for like other states that there's cutthroat competition. We are not seeing that. Ekiti is not noted for those. Maybe that is why you are feeling that enough public campaign is not happening. But I know that rallies were held some few days. The APC were there, and the PDP, they are campaigning. I'm not too sure of the SDP candidate and the other smaller parties, YPP, ADP, they have candidates. But on the social media, they are very active. I don't know why in the mainstream media the campaign is not generating so much excitement. But again, the people of Ekiti must know that this election is very, very important, and they have to, whatever it takes for them to keep their apathy aside and participate is the better for our democratic process.
And the issue of, we are talking about 16 candidates here vying for the number 1 seat in Ekiti. And we have seen in some states where out of even 18 candidates, we don't have even one female. But here in Ekiti, we have 2 actively participating. Is it a good start for the females in their journey to being relevant in the political system?
Well, I'm a very, very pragmatic person, and I think the election is essentially a two-horse race election between the PDP and the APC. The APC being the ruling party in the state. Yeah, the other political parties must have given tickets to women. If the woman had picked any of the two major parties, the ticket of any of the two major parties, I'll give the women thumb up for that. But if you are a woman and you go and pick a ticket in one of these smaller parties that might not make any impact, some of them are just out of the 18. Most of them are just running for the sake of running. But most of the smaller parties lack the requisite political structure across the wards. They lack the experience and tenacity of a contest of this nature. So I think essentially it's a major contest. I was thinking that Segun Oni of the SDP was going to make a lot of impact in the election. But some few days ago, I heard that he went to see the APC leader, and I didn't know whether he's still in the race or not. But essentially, SDP should have been the alternative. Being the former governor of the state, I thought that he was going to give the PDP and the APC a run in this election, so that it would have been a three-party race. But from the look of things, it's going to be a straight fight between the PDP and the APC.
Okay, from one of the reports we saw in 2018, just 44.36% turnout. That was less than 50%. And we have about 922,000 voters in 2,445 polling units. And I know Akita too has some communities or local governments located in the riverine areas. The issue of logistics. Two things may affect the turnout. We are talking of timely delivery of materials, which will start from 8:30 to 2:30, and secondly the issue of beavers, because I was in Anambra State where beavers to some extent was a challenge. What are you having any fears about these two aspects as we count down to tomorrow's election? Logistics, delivery, and beavers.
Yes, like I said earlier, the INEC has said that materials have been distributed since yesterday, and by now it should have been within reach of most of the local governments. The logistics to the various polling units, we expect that by early tomorrow morning this distribution should have been done. But again, in the Electoral Act, where the beavers fail to fails, and the people cannot vote at that time, the issue of incident forms have been abolished. So the beavers in such areas, they have to either wait until the beavers are reconfigured, or a better one is brought, or they vote at another time. So yes, we are going to have those challenges. But I think if it is not we will be happy if it is not in a very it's not widespread. We'll be happy if it's not widespread. If it is isolated cases, fine, because these are machines. They can malfunction at any point in time or have challenges at any point in time. But it is the degree, or if it becomes widespread, then it will cast a lot of credibility on the election and on the process. Voters must be educated to stay to be resilient, irrespective of whatever delays or whatever hiccup. They should be able to have the tenacity to continue to remain in the polling stations until they perform their civic duties.
Okay, one other issue is that of vote buying. To the extent that even the 2022 Electoral Act considered that as a major problem, and some fine has been marked out if you see buying, selling, or trading on votes. I think it's about 500,000. So will that going to affect the outcome of elections going forward, starting from Akita State? And do you think if this is discovered in tomorrow's elections, will the 2022 Electoral Act take effect?
The issue of vote buying, or as the case may be, monetization of our electoral process, has become a culture, a political culture, an aberration, a culture that is making us not to be able to have credible leadership.
Yes.
And there have been no conscious efforts to nip the cankerworm of vote buying in the bud. If you look at the recent primaries of all the political parties, including one of these smaller parties, where the case of money vote buying was prevalent, we hear that delegates were smiling home with as much as $25,000. So if that can be happening in the primaries of political parties, then you can imagine the desperateness in the general election. And it's unfortunate that it has become part and parcel of our political culture. We need to do a lot to be able to sensitize people not to engage in vote buying. I have been privileged to participate in many elections, either as observer or even directly in those elections, and you see people waiting. How much did this party bring? People queuing up, and it's very shameful that as low as 500, 200 naira, people are struggling, scrambling for such. And vote buying is not only monetary in nature. When you begin to distribute salt to women, Maggi, and you begin to give them rice to go and share, to induce them, all these are part of the vote buying. And when you begin to distribute wrappers and some other things to induce voters, it's part of vote buying. So it has been entrenched in our political system, and we need all of us need to do more. Above all, the security agencies and the EFCC and other law enforcement agencies will have to up their games. They have to sit up until some people are arrested and convicted, and people see that it is the state or the government or the security agencies are not taking it kindly with this attitude of spending money to acquire political offices. The culture will continue, and we have to sit up and ensure that this bad culture is eradicated from our polity.
Thank you very much. We'll still come back to you, but let's join Chris Aguirre, an election observer who is already in Ekiti State, precisely Ado Ekiti, the state capital. Chris, if you can hear me, let's have a feel of what is currently going on in Ado Ekiti. You're already set for it. I can see the face cap as an observer. Can you please hear from what is happening?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, Nigerians. To the glory of God, we are here live in Ekiti State, Ado Ekiti precisely. And I think the people of Ekiti State, are very much, people of Ekiti State are ready for the election. The stake is high because what happens at the outcome of this election will determine the next 4 years. We were here 4 years ago, and that election came and gone smoothly and safely. Though 4 years ago we noticed what we describe as the mother of all vote buying. The vote buying that we experienced 4 years ago in Ekiti State was the first of its kind in our history. And so we expect that with the new electoral act this time around, and with the consciousness among the people that money or no money, that they will vote the candidate of their thoughts. To the best of my judgment, Ekiti State
people are ready. They are looking forward to this election tomorrow. And INEC, from all indications, are ready. Distribution of materials are ongoing. I recall 4 years ago was when INEC did what they call the tracking system. Vehicles taking essential materials to different local government areas were being tracked. Now the vehicles that parked up on the road, INEC knew where they were. And the security agencies are on ground, very much on ground, probably because of some security breaches last week. So far, the place is calm, and the people are ready for the election tomorrow. We, the observers, we are on ground. We are looking forward to tomorrow.
Thank you, Chris. You said the 2018 you were there and it was matter of vote buying. We pray this will not be the father of it. But that aside, on a lighter note, we were together, myself and you were together in Oka in Anambra State last year, precisely November. And you expressed some fears about late arrival of materials and all that. And you even granted us an interview in that respect. Are you seeing any repeat of some of those lapses we observed in Anambra in this Akita situation?
Yeah, the Anambra situation last November, that was a unique situation. Looking at events around Anambra before the election. And so that shouldn't be basis for comparison. INEC has actually tried in Anambra. They did so well. In some places where you had a runoff election because these road transport workers did not turn up as expected. But in case of Akita State, Akita is calm because naturally they are peaceful people. So we don't expect such. But when it comes to elections, each election is unique in its own way. Until tomorrow morning, when the polls are supposed to start by 8 o'clock, until then we cannot say precisely what. Because even the pool staff, the pool workers, they will not sleep at the polling units, they will not sleep at the polling centers. They will move from wherever they are listed from the ward or local government to different polling units where they are to carry on their duties. So they will also not trek. It is the vehicles that will convey them to that place. Until tomorrow, we cannot precisely say. But my take is that we should be optimistic. Everybody should be optimistic. We should remain optimistic. And because this election is the first after the signing of the Electoral Act, and of course the third on the series, second major election, trying of the INEC device system. And of course, for the past 2 months, we see a different surge, and mostly among the young people. Close to INEC office, you see a whole lot of young people who are coming to collect their PVCs. So we are looking forward to tomorrow morning. For now, let's not preempt. Let's remain optimistic and positive. Yes, let's be optimistic and positive.
Thank you very much. I think we are also very optimistic because we wish the people of Akita and the country always the best. But in terms of security, sometimes on an election nearing periods like this, less than maybe 24 hours to the elections, you see, especially in the cities, kind of militarized nature in quotes, police and military personnel everywhere. Is that the situation in Akita or just in few spots?
Yeah, you see, the last two governorship election cycles in the state was very peaceful. The one that brought back Fayoshe, Fayemi, threw up the tower. There was no issue, there was no contestation. He, admitted defeat in the election. He congratulated Fayoshe then. Then 4 years ago, the election ended peacefully. Last week, the security breaches, which is security breaches that occurred. But to the best of my knowledge, it's what we have. But aside that, even 4 years ago, the security was very tight, very tight. We had the Nigerian Army special operations that came from Makurdi. I personally queried, why should we dispatch the military to that extent in one of state election? That we shouldn't be. But as it were, here you find that about 30,000 security personnel have been dispatched on ground here in the state. A combination of the armed forces personnel, military and paramilitary, actively going to be active during the election. But for me, because we're entering into general election, I don't think it's necessary that this quantum of security personnel should be dispatched for one single state election. But during the general election, where this election will be held simultaneously in all the 36 states plus FCT, you wouldn't have that number. And it's a civic duty. It's a civic duty. And this is a new form of election where the issue of ballot box snatching is a past tense. The issue of result writing is a past tense. In other words, this is an election where your vote counts. Your vote must count. As far as the device system is concerned, it's either you voted or you did not vote. It's not possible for somebody to add figures to what the machine had recorded or the number of ballot boxes. No. And so, well, because of the consideration of desperation of politicians, let's see how it goes. There are not sufficient security on ground. Ekiti State, give it to them. They are largely peaceful people, highly educated set of people. So I don't, but they are here. Tomorrow we are going to watch out how it's going to play out. I don't subscribe to too much presence of security men to the extent of scaring the voters themselves. But the ultimate thing is to have a peaceful environment for the election to go on.
Okay, let's also know from you how is the relationship between the observers, your team, and others like you, and that of INEC with the security people? Sometimes you may not be given free access to some sensitive areas during elections. The few hours or days are spent there, how has the relationship been among you security agencies and that of INEC?
Yeah, in a briefing a few days ago, INEC, for the first time in my election observation for 2007, this is the first time that as observers, we don't have, there's no, the apron that distinguishes observers away from others. The face cap, branded face from others, do not provide any. What we saw is just the tag you put on your neck as an accredited observer. And of course, the issues were raised, and come up with defense.
Thank you very much, Chris Agri, an election observer in Ekiti. The network is not too friendly at this moment, so we'll still hope to have you some other time, because the studio will be on till the results will be declared. That should be around Sunday or later. But Fisayo, my colleague, is also in Ekiti State. He's heading the Ekiti Decide Studios, and I think he's ready to give us on the spot situation of things in Ekiti. If Fisayo is on, we can get a feel of what is happening there from our Ekiti studios.
Towards the D-Day, and the dust of activity rolling to the D-Day is trying to settle. and the dusk heralds the eve a state comes out with its destiny to settle. The chest thumping is over. It is over to the thumb printing to determine the next generation and the next destination of the people. The state is christened the fountain of knowledge based on its illustrious sons and daughters in the academia. Will it be excellent, good or fair? We will know the result sheet both from INEC and from Nigerians in the next couple of days. My name is Fisai Ogunfi. Welcome to Ekiti. In Ekiti State, I have two guests here. Mrs. Famuyiwa Olawumi is the State Director, National Orientation Agency. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we have a clergyman here praying for a good day tomorrow, at the same time also thinking about also affecting the future of the state. That is Mr. Awe Olabode Festus. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start this way. A lot of people have said, yes, this is a contest amongst brothers and cousins. Everywhere you go is something Ekiti. Awe Ekiti. Akimbo Ekiti. Oye Ekiti. Ado Ekiti. Ilomoba Ekiti. So it's an Ekiti affair. It's just an Ekiti affair. What are you expecting? First, from an indigene of the state and who's been here since the state was created. Are you excited? Is there something bubbling under?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I want to thank God for this another opportunity to be electing who will become the governor of Ekiti State in the next 4 years. Just like you have rightly said, it is an Ekiti affair. All the 16 contestants are from Ekiti State. And Ekiti is an homogeneous state. There is no single town or village in Ekiti without the surface of Ekiti before its name. So we are one. We are brothers and sisters. And so we are excited. Whosoever wins the election is an Ekiti man. And it's a brother to whoever is losing the election. So it is an opportunity once again given to us to choose who will lead this state for the next 4 years.
Oh, you work for the National Orientation Agency, Mrs. Famuyiwa, and you know, you've been here. What are the efforts from the government angle, perhaps to up the ante, and perhaps also affect behavior on election morning from the indigents?
Thank you very much, Fisayo. It's a pleasure being on this program. And like you know, National Orientation Agency as an advocacy organ of the federal government, we are saddled with the responsibility of sensitizing the public about government activities and programs. And not only sensitizing them about that, we create awareness and we mobilize February participation in such activities and programs. And one of such is this Ekiti gubernatorial election that is coming up by maybe less than 24 hours from now. And National Orientation Agency, as part of our mandate, we have, since the release of the timetable by the Independent National Electoral Commission, gone out to create awareness about this election. We have gone to the nooks and crannies of Ekiti State, to the very community level, to the wards, to the units, to the various community areas, to sensitize the public one-on-one, even having organized fora and all that. And we have even gone to the extent of engaging in media engagements so that people can be aware of the processes that will culminate in tomorrow's electioneering process.
And the response has been?
The responses have been superb, because you see, a lot of people are already conscious of the elections that is forthcoming, though there have been spates of apprehension here and there, because just last week we were engaged in a road show throughout Ado Ekiti, and it was in the hearts and minds of some people there is palpable fear of what may likely happen. But we have tried as much as possible to dissipate these fears in their minds, giving them assurance, as we have received from the security agencies, that there will be enough and adequate security to lives and intimidation and all that. But at the end of the day, the election came out peacefully. So we have used this as a reassurance for our people in Ekiti State that there's no need and there's no reason for them to be afraid, but they should come out and exercise their franchise tomorrow, giving them an assurance that the security personnel are up to the task.
Reverend, if you look at that, in a little bit of talking about when you've been here for a while, So, can you give us an idea of what to expect, on election morning? What we understand is that the state is a state of, highly educated people. People are all politically aware. They know what to do. So the election mapping is not a difficult thing. But when you, and also the size of the state is not the biggest state, around here. But so, what are we expecting? What should we be expecting? First, in terms of behavior, National Election Agency said they have done, their bit. But what should we be expecting? You've been here since the state was founded. So, how is it?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
The general expectation is that we are going to have a peaceful election, starting with the timely distributions of electoral materials, because the people will be expected at their various polling units as early as 8:30 in the morning. So the major expectation of the people will be that the voting materials and personnel should be at their various polling units as early as possible. Just like you rightly said, that the state is not such a very big or a very large state. From Ado, you can get to any part of Ekiti state within the space of 1 hour. And hence, even if they are moving the materials to the remotest part of the state, then within 1 hour, between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m., we expect that these voting items, materials, should get to the voting units as early as possible. Then we equally expect the deployment of security personnel as early as possible. They should be available at the all polling units as early as possible tomorrow. And you know that Ekiti people are generally peaceful people. There wouldn't be any violence or rancor or any our fear that if this election will be credible and generally acceptable, then INEC should up their ante by making sure that everything needed for the success of these elections are provided, and that both in terms of material and in terms of personnel, they should get to the various polling units. And to the people at home, they want to assure them that there is nothing to be afraid of. They want to allay the fears, because if you look at what is going on in the social media in the last 4 days, there have been a serious apprehension that maybe there will be pockets of violence here and there. But the people have been well informed, they have been well educated, and they have been sensitized to go out and exercise their franchise. This is the only opportunity they have. They must allow their PVC to speak for them. And two, on the issue of vote buying, they have equally been educated. We have sermonized it even in the various churches that they shouldn't sell their vote, because the moment you are buying vote or selling vote, you are mortgaging your conscience and you have no opportunity.
Let me cut in there. I think it was the last election we had here that we first had the concept see and buy. Now it's become a national phenomenon. So you need to also rewrite the story, perhaps this time around.
You see, it is a complete breakdown in the value system that led to the issue of vote buying some 4 years back. Because as an Omoluabi person, it is not expected that we will engage in that nefarious activities of selling our vote. I am an advocate that people should be able to maintain their integrity. It is known for its integrity, that whatever they want to do, they go out and do it without fear or favor of anything. We are having that integrity. But what happened 4 years ago, it was not too good for these things. And then there was massive corruption of the electoral process. But just like you said, we have this another opportunity to rewrite the wrongs. I strongly believe now that the issue of vote buying, even some people might attempt it, it will not work. It will not work in this current election, because they know what they have seen in the last 4 years.
All right, let's let the National Orientation Agency come in very briefly. There are also other aspects we'll be looking at. The being a woman as well, the participation of the women folk in the process. We have candidates as well who are also part of it, and also members of the electorate. Are we expecting a huge turnout, or are people still in some ways, like the Reverend gentleman said, we may have some people still experiencing some fear that might lead to some kind of apathy? Or are you expecting a huge turnout tomorrow, especially when some members of the women folk actively participate either as the main candidates or the running mates in this election?
Thank you very much. From our own observation, from our sensitization programs and activities across the state, we discovered that even taking the census of women turnout, even at our sensitization programs, we discovered that you have more women than men at such programs. That shows you the level of more interest that the women folk have in determining who governs them. And so expectedly, we know, because going from records, even at voting centers, we discovered that more women turn out to vote at the polling units. So expectedly this time around, we expect that there will be more women that will be out there to exercise their franchise, because they know when things go wrong, it's the women that bear the brunt. Because whether there is violence, those that are usually affected are the men, their husbands, or the male children and all that, and the women are always at the receiving end. And that is why women are always eager to be involved in the electioneering process. And what we foresee is that this election there will be more women, and going by even the number of candidates that are participating, unlike before, we now have at least 2 female gubernatorial candidates and 7 women running as deputy governors. So that shows you a little increase in the number of women participation in active politics in Ekiti State.
All right, just to let the viewers know, we have a town hall arrangement that may come on shortly before sunset here in Ado-Ekiti, and of course we move to the eve proper of the elections, and of course we will also be looking at issues from across Ado. Very sure we have one report, that live report, that will give us some of the final thoughts of people who will be going out tomorrow to participate in the process. I'll be looking at some issues of interest, of course, tomorrow as well, and seeing the aspects of inclusivity in these elections, and perhaps what role the Electoral Act will play, perhaps changing some behaviors or maybe tweaking a little bit of what we used to see on election morning, as well as also monitor for the aspects of security and the election management body as well. We'll look at that in the course of the program before we terminate broadcast from this end as well. But I still have in the studio Famiwa Olawumi, she's the State Director, National Orientation Agency, Ekiti State, and Awe Olabode Festus, who is a clergyman. Let me come to you again, Reverend Awe Olabode, especially because you've been in the state since it started. It's a relatively, young state when we look at, Nigeria, other states in Nigeria as well. But in this short period, have you matured politically? Is this the same musical chairs that you've been playing in the state?
Within the short period of the creation of the state, which is about 25 years ago, can we really say 25 years is a short period? No. Politically, Ekiti State has been a very, very matured state in terms of production of political elites. And from what we have seen so far, you see a kind of a turnover. We've had about 9 different administrations in this state. It's pointing to one direction, that there is a high level of political sensitization. Right from the time of His Excellency Otubani Adebayo and up to this time, we have had 9 different administrations. So now, The people are politically conscious, and that is the reason why we have that kind of high level of turnover rate in the political dispensation. So now that we are now having another round of election, there is a kind of maturity that one is expecting among the political elites and the political group. And you will discover that even at that level, having about 16 aspirants gunning for the office of the governorship, you know that the people are actually interested in who governs them. They want to see the program they are bringing on board and want to see the socio-economic impact of this different administration.
It seems that people in your state, they like their candidates to sweat a little. Even the governor's office and the house is on top of the hill. So it takes some effort to get there. But let's look at it, in terms of, how the state has been all this while. We've seen, just like you've said, the turnover administration and all that. But in terms of your interaction with the people, are we going to see more participation this time in terms of even coming out, not just talking on the the pages of newspaper on the internet and all that, and then on election morning you just see a few people in the primary schools and secondary schools set out for voters? What are we expecting a huge turnout?
Certainly, yes.
And then let me keep it there. In terms of the language from the podium, before we got to election day, was it matured? Were they talking about policies, or was it still about the usual crossfire across parties?
And so far so good. One can just say that the comment on the podium have been fair. That been fair. It's not too sentimental and it's not too violent. But one would have expected more robust politicking in terms of political manifesto ideology. From what we have seen so far, we cannot actually differentiate among the political parties. They've always been talking about the same issue. When you watch the political debate organized by Channels Television a few days back, all the 6 gubernatorial aspirants that came for that political debate, they were speaking in the same direction. So one would have expected a paradigm shift in their political ideology, either to the right of the right, or the right of the center, or left of the left, or left of the center. So they have all had uniform or similar political ideology.
Maybe nobody wants to go right or left. They just want to stay at the center. But let's come to the National Orientation Agency. But now, from your experiences on the field and all that, coming before you come into the state, you hear something. When you get here, you see something else. It's as if it's almost a carnival. From the northern part to move down to Ado, then you go back down to Ikere, Malai, and all the rest. It seems as if it's almost a family affair. You see people in front of their houses almost wearing shabis of their different affiliations and parties, getting ready for the day. There's a high level of involvement on the days leading to the election. So wouldn't that be that it couldn't naturally lead to some physical crossfire if you have seen this almost carnival-like atmosphere before the election days?
Well, incidentally, the campaigning for the elections has stopped, and we have seen series of rallies, and this time around it had been in an organized manner, and the security agencies have done so well, including INEC, because at the to inform us, the National Orientation Agency is a part of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. And at that level, we had discussed the need for them to ensure that no political rally from different parties holds at the same environment and the same venue. So that has helped a lot, that you see them conduct themselves in their various rallies without clashes. And yes, this is symbolic or cultural with us, especially from this part of the country. We are so used to having this Ashwebi thing for almost everything.
Even when a young girl is doing birthday party, people are about to take Ashwebi now. It's getting to that level now. So everything is about Ashwebi, just to show the identification with the ideology of the party or the person they are supporting. So well, this has shown to a great extent a little shift in the paradigm of what we used to see in times past, where people now hold rallies very close to each other, which leads to some altercations and rifts here and there and clashes here and there. But this time around, the narrative had really changed. There had been a series of peaceful conduct of rallies and campaigns throughout the state. Though in some places we had some skirmishes. Actually, there weren't rallies holding together, but we have had some spates of maybe some party being relayed on the way or whatever, but that has been curtailed and everything has ended peacefully for now.
All right, so let's give us a little bit of what to expect. It's not a big state, so collation and perhaps even reading out of whatever results shouldn't take too long. So no rivers, of course a few hills, but no rivers.
Yes, we expect the result to come in as quickly as possible in view of the number of the collation centers that we are expecting. And with the introduction of these beavers, which makes it possible to transmit election results to the collation centers. Now, it now means that the movement of a hard copy of the results will be curtailed. So, quickly as possible, the collation center should be able to come together and give the results. So, the expectation is that by maybe early Sunday morning, the results should be in. Because we are not expecting any violence that can lead to inconclusive election. And if there is no inconclusive election, it is expected that within the time frame between 8:30 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon, the election will have been concluded in the various polling units. And later in the evening of tomorrow, the collation will have started, and by early morning on Sunday, then we expect that the result will have come in. How many results are we even expecting? It's less than 1 million.
All right, so let's say you wanted to give us some numbers now.
Yes, I said actually, you see, the voting period is 8:30 to 2:30. But the determinant of when the electionary process will end at any the various polling units is dependent on the number of voters that turn out, on the voters on the line at the close of the election. So, respectively, maybe all things being equal, by the evening of tomorrow, the process should have been concluded. Like my colleague said, by Sunday morning we should be having the collation being concluded.
I don't want to, sound somehow, because I hail from a neighboring state, but driving into, Akita State, by the time I'm trying to write the name of a community, I'm in another one. So I'm just trying to find out how. So by the time I'm trying to get the street junction, I'm in another community. So I want to ask, maybe if you want to enlighten our viewers, the biggest areas where we'll be expecting some of the biggest votes coming in, and where people will be excited to wait that, okay, we're waiting for this one, we're waiting for this one, waiting for this one tomorrow.
Thank you, moderator. At least we are having about seven big communities, like in Ado-Ekiti now. Ado-Ekiti, which is the capital of Ekiti State. Then we have Ikere, that is just about 20 minutes drive from Ado-Ekiti. We are equally expecting from Ilawe, which is also about 20 minutes drive. We are equally expecting a big result from Ijero, Efalayi, then Ikole, and Omo. Omo happens to be the longest distance from this place, maybe 1 hour drive from Ado-Ekiti, or 1 hour 30 minutes drive from Ado-Ekiti. So if we are now looking at that, it means that the concentration of the huge turnout will be in Ado-Ekiti. And Ado-Ekiti is having the largest polling unit in the state. So concentration should be on Ado-Ekiti and possibly Atipere and other local government headquarters. Now they can follow suit. So the expectation will rightly be on Ado-Ekiti.
Ikere has an interesting story. There's two hills that have been competing for years, Olosunta and Orele. So they are used to a lot of competition there. But even in terms of even the monarchical issues and all that. But it's interesting. And elections like this bring the rest of the nation closer to your state to know even more about those states.
That's right.
So I even saw I've been passed through this so many years. I saw a new community quota, and I said, I said, okay, that means that they must get their own quota of the vote count. So we'll get to all that. Tomorrow it will make for some interesting reading when we get our reporters on ground to file in. But before we move on to other issues as well, let's also look at the issues of new participation. I saw a lot of young people come out to get PVCs, and some of the reports sent in to the NTA from our reporters on ground in the past weeks leading to this election. It seems as if the younger folks are getting more involved as against before, when it was more of the middle and older generation who are seen more in the political the terrain. But it seems as if the younger folks want to be a part of this one. Let me take Madam first.
Yes, like before now, the younger ones believe that let the older ones do pull the shots. But now they are more conscious of the fact that there's a need for them to change the narrative, and that's why there was this agitation of letting the youths also participate in politics, and we had the youths not too young to run, that was signed into law. So a lot of them are conscious of their environment, and they believe that the future that we normally refer to as the future of tomorrow, or the leaders of tomorrow, they now know that even from right now they can be leaders, because they have in some advanced countries like France, the young one was ruling, and they're ruling very well. And we also have a few number of our leaders who are youthful in age, and they say their performances. So they are more conscious of that, of the need for them to also, that they can also participate and be leaders in themselves. And part of the awareness creation and sensitization that have been ongoing from even our end towards the populace is for the youth to come out in mass, and those that have attained the age of voting to come out to obtain their PVCs. And we are happy at the results that we are getting, that they're actually coming out to obtain their PVCs, even to participate, not only as electorate, even as candidates. All
right, our own historian in the studio has been Reverend Aware, but let's just not to rely only on his information. The state as a sovereign and political entity was created in October 1996 under the then military administration. In our report, Ayodeji Ogunshakin takes us through the statistics of the 26-year-old state.
Ekiti State, which was carved out of the old Ondo State, was created on 1st October 1996 alongside 5 other states by the then military administration of late General Sani Abacha. The name Ekiti is originally coined from the Yoruba word Ile Olokiti, the land of ease, from which the name Ekiti was later blended to Ekiti. All the towns and villages in the state take a common suffix Ekiti after their names. Ekiti State is in the southwestern part of Nigeria, bordered to the north by Kwara State, to the northeast by Kogi, Ondo to the south and southeast, and Osun State to east-west. Like all other states in the Federation, Ekiti State has 3 senatorial districts, namely the North, South, and Central. The state has over 200 towns and communities, covering 6,353 kilometer land area, With a population of 3.3 million, according to the 2016 National Population Census, Ekiti State is 30th most populous state in the country. Ekiti people are of Yoruba stock and they speak a common dialect.
We want to be a who are top-notch scientists, who are renowned medical doctors. I think Ekiti still holds its own when it comes to quality, and that's quite more reason why people from this part of the country are more preferred to be employed because they know that they are always principled, and when they are principled, they are more likely to be.
The core values of the people is what we call the Omaluabe principle, ethos, and ethics. You look at some people, you think they are elders, you accord them the dignity and respect of elders. You look at some people in the social class, you know these people are more well to do than you. You respect them for their values.
The state is also blessed with rich tourism potentials, among which include Anita Waterfalls, Ikogosi Warm and Cold Springs, Esa Cave, Ogunire Grove, Agbono East, Abanijori Mountain and Cave, as well as the Fajui Park.
Ekiti has that serious potentials because we still have our ecosystem intact. Ekiti is one of the places we still have a large expanse of land with green. Ekiti is one of the states in Nigeria that has that potential to be one of the tourism destinations.
With a rich fertile land, Ekiti people are predominantly farmers, traders and civil servants. In Ado Ekiti, Ayodi Jogunshaki, NT News.
Thank you, Ayo, for that report. Let's quickly, before I let you go, just give us a few numbers that will be a part of, the elections tomorrow that can guide people who are tracking election and perhaps use that as a benchmark against the performance in terms of turnout of voters as we see the figures coming through tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. At the last count, when we had the last meeting, we had a total number of 988,923 registered voters as read out by INEC, and we have about 177 wards and the polling units, I think 2,000 plus polling units. So we expectedly by tomorrow, all these areas, we expect at least, if not 100% turnout of voters. We expect that there will be an appreciable number of voters that will turn out for tomorrow's election.
Of course, a lot of people will also pray for clement weather. Sure. Taking that cue from Reverend Olabode Festus, I want to thank Mrs. Famu, you allow me, State Director, National Orientation Agency, Ekiti State, for finding time after closing and doing some last-minute orientation to come to the studio. Still looking speak and span. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take another report. Ekiti State is blessed with arable land, human and natural resources to give advantage to its economy. Kehinde Durodola in this report x-rays resources and their impact on the state. The report.
26 years ago, Ekiti State came into existence following its creation from the old Ondo State on October 1st, 1996. The state, which is endowed with human and natural resources, has grown geometrically in the economic sector due to its comparative advantages. Economic activity in the state is dominated by agriculture and forestry, with estimated 4,500 square kilometers of arable land for cultivation, for consumption and export, as well as providing over 80% of the state's internally generated revenue, IGR. Blessed with agrarian land, the people who are predominantly farmers as towns and communities in the state can boast of production of food crops like yam, cassava, rice, palm oil and cocoa, among others. Availability of dams like Ero in Mamba local government, Egbe in Banyu local government and Ureje in Ado Ekiti local government is what agricultural experts says could be an added advantage in irrigation for fishery and all year-round food production.
Those days, Ekiti State was one of the major states producing cocoa in Nigeria. Apart from that, you look into some other permanent crops like oil palm. Ekiti State is thriving in those areas too. Kola, either Tida or Akuminata, Ekiti State is thriving there too. And when you now go to arable crops like talking of yam, by the time it's time for yam export or yam harvest, you find out that virtually every day trailers of yam are moved out of the state. And I think what we need to do so that this agriculture, because it's what we rely upon, that what it could do to be able to influence the economy of this state and of the country at all, is for government to be able to look at it from the right perspective. We should not be talking of just 10 tractors per local government. We should be talking about 20-30 of tractors per local government, and they should be able to help us to open up the space so that this modernized agriculture could thrive.
Ekiti State is equally blessed with natural resources like ceramic, clays in Nichero, feldspar, marble, kaolin, tin, and columbite. Even though these natural resources are yet to be harnessed.
Any minerals you have at your location does not belong to you. They can go and tap all those minerals on their own without the involvement of the federal ministry of what we call it, solid minerals, because the state has little or no control over it. Then there's a limit to which the state can go in almost extracting all the resources for.
Adding to its economic development is the resuscitation of the Ikunderi farm at Ikun-Ekiti in Mamba local government area, the Iribond brick at Iru-Ekiti in Oyo local government being handled by private investors. The likes of the moribund rice processing industry at Igbema in Repodun, Ifolodun local government area, and oil palm factory in Ado-Ekiti are crying for attention. Ekiti State, which is inclined towards civil service, also has appreciable numbers of private establishments like hospitality, industry, filling stations, and private schools, both primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions of learning that are contributing to the economy of the state.
The economy of the state is a civil service economy in the sense that it is the public sector in the state that drives the portion of the state. The level of private sector involvement is very minimal. In most cases, even those who are professionals in other sectors, both formal and informal sector in the state, they are heavily dependent on the purchasing power of the civil servants, and that has not really helped the issue of the economy, an industrialized one.
With 26 years into the creation of the state, it is the consensus of many that more still needs to be done in the area of industrialization. Experts also have on the need to properly utilize the tourism potentials which are bound in the nook and crannies of the state to put Ekiti on the right pedestal for economic viability. In Ado-Ekiti, Kendi Drudola, NT News.
Thank you very much, Kendi Drudola. A lot of people always ask you, who is your relative from Ekiti? Is he a professor? All right, we have a professor who has just joined us in the studio. Professor Christopher Oluwadare is the Chairman Coalition of Ekiti Civil Society Organizations and Professor of Sociology, Ekiti State University, Ado-Ekiti. Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much for the invitation also.
How many of you professors are in this state? So that Nigerians will know. We keep on hearing Fountain of Lord, just say every street junction there's a professor. How many professors? The last count.
All what I know in Ekiti State is that every family wants to produce a professor. Or every mother wants to have a professor as his child.
All right, so let's gain from your professorial acumen and what the knowledge you've gained over time, especially in that relevant field of sociology.
Yes, sir.
What is the psyche of the people like at this time? Approaching election morning, people have come, they've advertised their credentials, they've made promises. What are we expecting on election morning?
What is unique this time in 2022 election in Ekiti State is that the political space is expanded. From 1999, we used to have two dominant political parties. Nobody can say a particular party now is a dominant party. The only thing we can say a ruling party who is currently in government, and other political parties. So the people has better choice now to choose between party A, party B, party C, party D, party F. And with this, there's a lot of excitement among the voters. As a civil society person, we have been on the field for over 3 months. The mood of the people keep on changing continuously. And in the last 2 weeks, the various engagements, the debates, the town hall meetings, and the people are also in the know of what is going on through the social media. The excitement keep on having various coloration. But as of today, people are eager tomorrow to come out and cast their vote.
All right, let's, before you came in, we were talking about, areas of interest of the people.
Yeah.
What will elevate the state? Is it massive industrialization? What are the needs that people might be focusing on when they're making their choices tomorrow? Or that choice since it's a seat?
Yes. In Ekiti State, we are highly educated. And when we analyze literacy and level of education in Ekiti State, then we talk about paradox. Paradox in the sense that it has produced also poverty. Our level of education has produced some level of enlightenment, and it has increased the taste, the choice of the people. All over Nigeria, the number of graduates who are from Ekiti State is producing more number of university graduates, polytechnic graduates, and they don't have work to do. In those days, once you finish secondary school or university polytechnic in Ekiti, you find your uncle in Lagos or Ibadan. You travel there, help you to get work or do other things. But the uncles over there, they are economically stressed also. So they are not encouraging any graduate from Ekiti to come to Ibadan, to come to Lagos, and you can't go to Kaduna again. So you find all of them in rural areas, in urban centers in Ekiti. They have no work to do, and the government also is not employing. In the last 8 years, government has not employed significantly university graduates or graduates. So we have mass poverty in the land. Our civil servants also, we've not really enjoyed salaries in the real sense of salaries.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know it's not going to be easy also to buy handouts in the rural areas because we want it in practical terms.
Yeah.
So let's look at it like this. We had a report talking about mineral deposits, talking about agricultural progress of the people and all that. Do we have agrarian communities waiting to be exploited for industrial growth? Let me take it from there. Let me take it from the professor before I come to you, Reverend.
Yes, we have arable lands, no doubt, all around, especially in rural areas. We still have arable land, fertile land. But again, as a civil society person also, various governors and government, they've tried to engage these graduates to go into farming. But the feedback has always been negative. These youths have been slapping the government. Will you also get your child to go to the farm? The youth have not been able to differentiate between farming and agro business. So the youth in Ekiti State, they've not been imbibing the various opportunities available, either in fishery, either in the poultry, either in tree cropping, either in vegetable cropping, either in fadama. I know government is having problem in engaging the youth in agribusiness, and that is why we still have this disenchantment among the youth. When every youth is saying there is no work, what they are telling you is that government has not given us employment, either in the civil service, in the teaching service, in the health sector. That is what they are saying, and that is why we have levels of poverty in the land. And when we look at statistics also, Ekiti State is highly educated, but poverty level also in southwest Nigeria, Ekiti State is the poorest. In Nigeria is one of the poorest in southern Nigeria. Graduate unemployment also is the highest, is the second highest in Nigeria. Notwithstanding what CBN is doing, notwithstanding federal government is doing, it has not made an impact in Ekiti State. Level of education is high, level of poverty also is equally high.
Okay, perhaps we begin to, maybe from now on, because if we have this number of professors and doctors and all that, perhaps we will now begin to tailor the no, not tailor the direction of the education, perhaps more in industry, so that will perhaps move us away from complaints so much. But let me bring the Reverend Father in. We've talked to the academia, someone representing the academia. Sometimes there also needs to be some form of motivation to steer the mind of the people towards what they should be, maybe perhaps making their expectations a bit more conservative, especially knowing the position of the state. It's not as if you don't have human resources, but in terms of, the might of the state, in terms of what it has, what comes in year in, year out, may not be the biggest as well.
It is true. You are right, sir. In the sense that the income or the revenue of the state determines how far the government can go. But unfortunately, we cannot just oppose what is coming in vis-a-vis what the government is doing. And that is the reason why you still find youth unemployment. The agricultural sector that will have been the launching pad for industrialization of Ekiti State has not been motivating enough. We have the arable lands, we have so many villages here and there, but there are certain things that the government needed to do to encourage the youth to stay in these rural areas.
All right, we have another game changer tomorrow, an opportunity not to use your feet, where you use your fist, or perhaps not, not to dissolve it always to arguments, especially at street junctions, but to use your thumb, to direct the destination of a state, irrespective of what happens, whether anything. Are you confident that people in the state will come out in mass tomorrow again to determine where to go?
In 2019 election, we had 43% voter turnout. In 2014 election, we had 53% voter turnout reduction. And this time around, it's because of these problematics of voter turnout. We see a lot of volume of mobilization. INEC did wonderfully well, uniquely well this time around. And INEC was working also with civil society organizations, both the one in Ekiti State and outside. And various other interests also came in. At the level of civil society, we have developed a target of minimum of 65% voter turnout. We are so conservative. Given all the input, given all the resources, we are likely to have nothing less than 65% voter turnout. Given the fact that I have said, the uniqueness is that people can now make decisions not because of A or B, but because of A, B, C, D, E, F political parties. And at this time, apart from the two major political parties plus X, we have pockets of political principalities now that will determine. For instance, in Ikere,
I would have expected that word to come from the Reverend Father, principality. Go ahead.
For instance, in Ikere is producing a deputy governor. Ikere is producing a gubernatorial candidate. Apart from the traditionally two dominant political parties plus additional third force. So Ikere is likely to have 5 political parties competing for votes. Unlike before, that it is either A or B. And that is why we have also a pocket of some local government and communities. So people are eager. And also it's not 2 political parties now campaigning all across. We have more than 5 or 6 political parties campaigning. So voter turnout is likely to be significantly increased tomorrow.
But that puts into test Reverend's first postulation in the beginning. He said everybody is a brother, but it seems as if there are people that are more, the relative issue is even more in some cases. You still reduce it to groups within the family. If you are still talking about coming from here, everybody is a kid anyway.
Yes, we are all family members, but even in Yoruba and sociology of family, we have Agboile, that is the extended, the house, the big house. Within the Agboile, we have the extended family, that is Idi, Okan. Within Idi, we also have the nuclear family there. So at a time like this, politically also, yes, Ekiti is one, but that position will only come to one person, so that we see the competition over who wins the gubernatorial.
So I'm enjoying your lectures free of charge here because the GM has invited you in. But so we must, use it to the fullness of time, so that I too can come out with my own paper. So you have a Ekiti Parapo, you have a Ekiti Kete. What are we expecting tomorrow?
Yes, Ekiti will Parapo. The unity of Ekiti will come together to have one governor. When we started this campaign at a time, immediately after the campaigning for gubernatorial, before the primaries, and we have a lot of arguments, primaries of A and B political party. We came up with this slang, Ekiti is for Ekiti. Head or tail, it will still be Ekiti. Whether you are from Ekiti Oke, or Ekiti Arin, or Ekiti Sale, we are brothers and sisters. If you observe the political party dialogue, if you observe the dialogue, immediately after the dialogue, every one of them, they will embrace themselves.
That's what we are looking for. And so I've embraced a lot of the new concepts you have spoken. I will look out for it. Let me thank the Reverend gentleman and Professor hopefully before we come back around. But let me quickly go over to the other side of where there's a small town hall just to mark the sunset before the D-Day in Ekiti State, and that will be conducted by Olubukola Aduwo. All right, we're still waiting to see if that will be done. Once that is done, we will join the town hall. I understand that they are just about getting ready for the town hall for the sunset. People from across the state capital will be telling us what they expect from tomorrow. Professor is still right here, and Reverend as well. Once they are ready, we go and join the town hall that will be conducted by Olubukola Aduwo. Let me quickly come to Reverend before we join the town hall. The Prof has given us, his own analysis of what to expect tomorrow. You have equally given us that as well. But where do we normally expect the last votes to come in on election day?
Omo Ekiti seems to be the farthest location to Ado Ekiti. So if we are expecting the results to come in within the space of maybe immediately after the collation, maybe at midnight thereabout, we should be expecting results from Ekiti East. And the farthest area there is Omo-Oke. And hopefully within the span of 1.5 hours, given the nature of the road, they should be in Ado Ekiti. So we are not in a riverine area, just like that we have a use of transportation. Every area in Ekiti is now motorable from the capital. We can get to any location in Ekiti within the time frame of 1 hour. So if polls ended by maybe 2:30, counting of votes by 6, and by the time say 8 or 9 p.m., we should be expecting results to be trickling in from all the 16 local governments.
If I got my director right, I think Olubukola Aduwo is now ready for the town hall session to mark the sunset as we move to, of course, just a few hours to the elections here in Ekiti State as the state decides the next person to occupy the helmsman's seat.
Senior Programs Manager, Vote Not by campaign. You're welcome to this town.
Thank you very much.
Me, Mrs. Comfort Olatunji Ishola. She's an academic staff of the Federal Polytechnic at Akita. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And last but not the least is Mr. Akiyemi Olayinka, is the retired Director of Education in Akita State. Daddy, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
They are here to share their thoughts on the electoral process, and I will start by asking this question. I would like you to examine the electoral process against the backdrop of the preparations by INEC, security agencies, and other critical stakeholders. In your perspective, how can you examine the electoral process so far?
Well, I will rate the level of preparation has been very good. Considering the fact that the new Electoral Act was passed 4 months ago, but we have gotten assurance from INEC that provisions captured in the Electoral Act will be implemented in the governorship election holding tomorrow, which include the electronic transmission of voters. As well, the security agencies, as you can see, move around the city of Abuja. There is heavy presence of security, and this is not meant to deter these public citizens from voting. It's meant to restrict the activities of criminal elements who want to disrupt the process, and cause violence. On the part of the citizens, I would like to believe that due to the conscious effort of civil sector organizations who have carried out a very thorough voter and civic education program, the masses have been mobilized to come out en masse, and carry out their civic duty, which is electing the governor that will pilot the affairs of the state in the next 4 years. So the preparations have been actually going on very well.
And when it comes to the issue of voter apathy, because this is one of the challenges, critical stakeholders are facing, trying to just, surmount. In your own view, how do you think we can, curb voter apathy come tomorrow?
Well, the security men on ground should be up and doing, and I want to employ the masses to just cast their votes and just leave the voters' arena for their homes. They are not there to count the votes, they are there to cast their votes. And I want to say that our security men should be peace friendly to the masses, so that they will not be fearful. And some of them, and also, if every area where voting is going to take place, then it is expected that security personnel are there to see to the peace and orderliness of people.
Thank you so very much. And the much-awaited governorship election is tomorrow. So, what are your expectations, from the election? What do you think should be on ground that will judge this election free, fair, and acceptable?
Thank you. Within my view, with what has been put on ground, I expect a very free, thorough election tomorrow. There shouldn't be any fear on the part of either the officials, those coming out to vote. There shouldn't be thuggery. Every aspect of it must move smoothly before we can say it is a very fair election. We should not be hearing gunshots here or something there. Everybody will come out freely. Like the person that spoke before me said, the apathy we are envisaging will happen is because of the security forces around. Since they are not out to deter people from voting, they are out to protect. So it is the protection that we must have. That is when we will say we have free and fair election. Candidates shouldn't put to the street thugs that will delay the process. INEC has tried, and I feel we should corroborate their efforts by coming out peacefully and vote.
Alex, don't you think, how do we include people living with disabilities, pregnant women, and even women? How do we include them in the electoral process so that they can cast the ballot and we have a free smooth election there?
I will state here categorically that persons with disabilities pregnant women, special groups are going to have priority voting, and that is because it is captured in the new Electoral Act. So INEC has made efforts to deploy assistive materials which will help persons who are visually impaired, persons who have physical disability. They will still have access to the ballot papers and to the polling booth, and they'll cast their vote. Talking about pregnant women, because of priority voting, such persons will not be allowed to wait so much on the line. They will be given preference for them to vote as soon as they come and go where they can have rest and medical attention. Young persons as well, because they are expecting a very large turnout of young persons. The Vote Not Fight campaign has mobilized them across the 3 senatorial districts, and they will be out to vote. I believe that every demographic will be represented during the election tomorrow, regardless of where you fall. Both women, youths, men, persons with disabilities, we're going to have a fully inclusive electoral process.
What are the expectations from the incoming government? What are the expectations of Ekiti people?
There are so many expectations. We cannot say water is one of them, because every landlord, every landlord has done maybe a well or drilled a borehole, but our access roads to streets in Ekiti is very poor. We expect the new incoming governor to please see to this and make these roads possible for the masses. Because during this rainy period now, the untarred road are very steep. You will see bike men falling, even with their passengers at the back. And in Ekiti, they don't allow taxis to go into these corners of Ekiti. Only the motorcycles are going there. So they should make the road passable for this.
The expectation is
My expectation is good governance, a broad-based governance style that will take care of our youths, that will take care of the school children, that will take care of the adults, that will take care of the working forces.
When the workers, they should see to their joy and happiness. When workers laugh at the end of the month, the market women and men will also laugh.
So thank you so very much for joining us on this town hall meeting. I really appreciate you for coming. And now, these are the thoughts of the people of Ekiti State concerning the
That was quite an insightful moment from Ekiti. Especially the professor raised so many critical issues that we really need to digest here. Before we joined our Ekiti studio, we were talking about vote buying, and the professor raised some critical issues about the level of, he used the word mass poverty and unemployment in the state. In a state where the most productive industry is that of the university, where professors and graduates are turned out on daily basis. Do you think there are going to be a relationship between the level of poverty, unemployment, and that of vote buying tomorrow?
Certainly. The level of poverty, as the professor articulated, will definitely affect behavioral pattern of an individual. Poverty is a very serious disease. People who are poor are susceptible to inducement. They are susceptible to a lot of issues when it comes to selling their conscience and things like that. So, but again, they are very poor people, but highly literate. So with that, there's solace, because you could be poor, but once you are literate, you'll be able to know your right from your left. The most dangerous angle is if they are poor and they are not literate.
Yeah.
Then it will give you cause for worry. So I think yes, there will be vote buying, but I don't think that will becloud the elections because of the high level of illiteracy in Ekiti State. And don't forget that at times I hear slogans like collect their money but vote for your conscience. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that maxim that if you know that you don't want
to be put under pressure or to be induced or to be influenced, you stay away from collecting. And the giver too should be very careful, because if he is caught, he will face the law. So I'm particularly worried. It's not just only in Ekiti State. Like I said, it's a general political culture that a lot of people, especially in the rural areas, they don't see anything wrong with collecting money and voting. They don't see anything wrong with it, which is a very bad culture. So we need a lot of sensitization to inform, to educate our people, to educate the society that vote buying is not good for our democratic process.
And the NOA director or staff from Akita also made mention of one point, indicting men anyway, that the turnout of women is always higher than that of men. Though what is really responsible for that women turnout is usually higher than that of men?
We know that the population of women, based on the 1996 population census and even the United Nations demographic survey, points to the fact that there are more women than men. And then in the rural areas, when you go to the rural area, you see one man marrying 3, 4, 5 women. So, and they are mothers. And again, migration. Most men migrate into the city to far places in search of, and maybe some of them will even leave their families behind and maybe go once in a while. And so you see that even in the churches, you see the large number of women and children. So yes, the professor is right. Many women turn out on voting day, not just in Ekiti, but almost everywhere, and they have the resilience. Even in the northern part, where we have the powder system, where women are not allowed to come out, you see that majority of the women from even this traditional area where women are not seen, you see the queues in Adamawa, in Kano, and several places. You see there are still more women that turn out on election day to vote. I think it shows that the women are very, very conscious. They are very, very conscious, and that is a very good woman for the future. The only thing that is left is that the political socialization, the political enlightenment should be sustained, so that when these women come out, they should know that they have to vote for the right candidate. It's not mobilizing them only to come and maybe queue up to collect materials that have been brought for the voters and things like that. They should be enlightened to know that this voting exercise is a very serious endeavor, and that they must cast their vote for candidates that will bring development, candidates that will add value to their families.
Prof, Doug, we'll still come back, but talking about preparations by the people, let's take this report, because the role of the electorate is quite critical as we count down to tomorrow's election.
The much-awaited June 18 governorship election in Ekiti State is few hours away, as the electoral umpire INEC is putting finishing touches to ensure a credible and acceptable electoral process. The 16 participating political parties are strategizing and optimistic of victory in the 2,445 polling units in the state. The question now is, how prepared are the eligible voters for this exercise?
Since I got my PVC ready, and I'm ready for the June 18 election of Ekiti State to cast the votes to my choice of candidates, and I'm ready to cast the vote for the person that can still be the betterment of Ekiti as a whole. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not ready to sell my votes.
I'm ready to vote. I have my card. My voter card is with me here. So I'm ready to vote. All my family, all the entire member people of the state, we are ready to vote this time.
Election,
I'm ready to vote. I'm advising people to come and vote. Vote for your right choice. Not fighting, we don't like fighting. And go there, just vote and go to your house. That's no.
I'm ready to vote the candidates of my choice. I've got my voter's card. I'm ready for the election.
I'm ready for the election. Come June 18, I'm prepared. At least I've gotten the necessary document. I think that's the voter's card, and I've confirmed my voting unit, my polling booth. I've gone to confirm it. Come on that day, I just go straight to the place, then I cast my vote and go back to my house.
With all the arrangements put in place by relevant stakeholders, the election is expected not just to go smoothly, but credible and acceptable. In Ado-Ekiti, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
From the soundbites there, the people are really informed, bearing in mind the poverty level as earlier highlighted by the prof. But from our previous reports, we also realized that the state is really endowed with a lot of natural resources that the government can take advantage of to reduce the level of poverty. So what do you think the challenge ahead of this incoming administration, taking into consideration the issue of poverty and unemployment?
Yeah, I want to commend you for this question. This question is very, very, very important, because the essence of democracy will lose its meaning completely if it does not lead to improvement in the living standard of the people. Democracy will lose its bearing if it does not translate to food on the table for the ordinary person. So this question you have asked is very, very important. It's very, very instructive. Now, I don't want to prejudice the result of tomorrow's election, but if what we have all seen and heard, that Ekiti has the highest number of professors, has the highest number of literacy level in the entire Southwest, I was wondering, looking through the list of those who are contested, especially in the major parties, I expected to see a professor of note coming out with all the knowledge so that this can be impacted. I didn't see. So it is not just sitting down, doing armchair criticism, wishing. You have to participate. The academia in Ekiti, this is a challenge to them. They have to come up and rescue their states. I see no reason why, with all the mineral resources that have been mentioned, with all the potentials in agriculture, the fertile arable land and everything that we have seen during the documentary, I see no reason why Ekiti should not be one of the leading states in the country, especially with the high level of human resources that we have heard that the state possesses. It should be one of the leading economy in the country. But it's quite, I don't know, I don't want to attribute it to maybe leadership failure, as we are wont to say in this part. Maybe all the leaders, successive leaders, have done their own part. But I think that the people too need to have a social reorientation. The orientation of having a civil service mentality. My state too, Benue, where I come from, is also guilty of this civil service. You have to venture into entrepreneurship. You have to go to the days where white collar jobs can go round. The population is increasing. So the incoming government have to put up policies to encourage manufacturing, to encourage entrepreneurship, to ensure that the citizens, the large army of graduates and large army of educated elites are giving incentive to commence mechanized agriculture, mechanized farming. I think it is only in this our climb that people think agriculture is suffering. In the developed society, the richest people are not politicians. The richest people are people that are engaged in agriculture, farming, and so on and so forth. So the Ekiti state government, yes, in as much as they have laid emphasis on education, emphasis should now be shifted to mechanized agriculture, involving the youth in manufacturing, in entrepreneurship, and I know that Ekiti will go places.
So you think this will play a major role in tomorrow's election? Because from the looks on the faces of especially those youths from the town hall, you can see that level of eagerness to participate in the process. There is something they really want to change. Do you see that? And the prof also told us that they are anticipating 65% turnout of voters compared to 2018 that were just about 43 or 46%.
Yes, I expect that those issues will definitely come up because, as you know, there is renewed vigor within the Nigerian political scene, within the Nigerian political firmament. There seems to be a lot of optimism, especially with the belief now that votes are going to count, with the belief that the beavers and the electronic transmission of results and the measures that have been put in the Electoral Act has renewed the confidence of Nigerians. And I think even the people of Ekiti, for a very long time, people are now saying, okay, let us try this process and see whether it will be different from the others in the past. And like somebody said here, this is the first election that all these reforms are going to be test run. And we are all waiting to see the outcome of these beautiful innovations that have been put on the table. One significant issue that I want to talk about, which I doff my hat for INEC, is the issue of customization of electoral materials. The electoral materials in this election that we are going to witness are customized according to local governments and according to polling units. So the result sheets, so you can't take a result sheet from anywhere and take to another polling unit. The color will betray you. The security marks and features will give you away. So I'm excited about that innovation. I'm also excited about the ballot papers. The ballot papers are also customized according to polling units and so on and so forth. So I'm just like the people of Ekiti. I'm also very, very excited with all these wonderful innovations that have been put in place, and we look forward to a very, very free, fair, and successful election.
Finally, to the security agencies, INEC can play a critical role. The voters may be willing to come out, but the safety of INEC materials, personnel, and that of the electorate is critical. It's in the hands of the security agencies. So what advice will you give to the Inspector General of Police, to his men, and that of other military or paramilitary agencies, so that the conduct can really reflect on the outcome of the election?
My advice, I think 30,000 policemen is too much for a small state like Ekiti. If you break it down, we are talking about virtually almost between 500 to 1,000 police per local government. I mean, we are militarizing the whole area, and we hope that overzealousness on the part of security agencies will not scare away voters, and will not, the over-militarization of the entire area will not, in the name of providing security, at the end of the day, will not have a boomerang effect on participation. Having said that, I don't expect if they are going to be violent, it will not be packets or isolated, because as we all have heard during the prologue, Ekiti people are naturally very peaceful people. Ekiti is not noted for this type of political thuggery and political violence. But it's an election, so providing adequate security is very key. Yeah. And I think the security is adequate. It's even over adequate based on my own assessment.
Thank you very much, Doc. Dr. Adoye Matthew Omale, political scientist and international relations expert. Thanks for your thoughts on this program.
Thank you very much.
And also to Fisayo in Ekiti and the team that has given us very insightful moments. Prof and the rest, they did very well from Ekiti. And then my notes are full. I can't even have the extra paper here because the prof really prophesied so many things that I have to note here. And here in Abuja, we thank the Ekiti Decide studio who put everything together for us. By 7 o'clock tomorrow, 7 a.m. precisely, the studio will open for the actual day, that is the D-Day Ekiti Decide. To hope to see you again. Please join us 7 a.m. tomorrow for updates on Ekiti Decide. My name is Mie Ogedi. Thank you.
Thank you.